وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Tonight's lesson, as well known, continue reading from the Sahihain, the two respected books of Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim, rahimahullah ta'ala, and a short summarized compilation known as wal-Marjan, فيما اتفق عليه الشيخان. Pearls and pearls regarding the Hadiths of Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim, compiled by the late Egyptian scholar Muhammad Fawad Abdul Baqi. Allah have mercy upon him, forgive him, and allow him to reward from us benefiting from his works. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. Last thing that we took with the night ta'ala, last week's class, last Thursday, I believe, not last Wednesday, was what, Salih?
Chapter 38, Hadith 272, 273.
Chapter number 38, regarding
The postures in Salah.
certain movements in the Salah. No?
No.
Khairan, inshallah. طيب. Now we have chapter 39, so on page 183. Very similar to the previous chapter and the previous concepts. And further clarification of Sifat Salat Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, description of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's prayer in general, and specifically in congregation. Now, pay close attention, brothers and sisters. There's always going to be two aspects or two levels. And studying this book, and studying Sahih Bukhari directly, Sahih Muslim directly, or any fiqh book. And that is the issue of Salah, how the Prophet ﷺ offered it. And then we have the issue of how you are to offer it. Meaning, whenever the Messenger of Allah ﷺ offered the prayer, he was either the Imam, he was either by himself. Very, very, very seldom was he behind someone else. But in most cases, the Rasul ﷺ is going to be the Imam. And in most cases, when we find the Prophet ﷺ offering the Salah by himself, it's supererogatory prayer, night prayer. Pay close attention. Something that isn't mandatory. Most of the Prophet ﷺ's statements and actions regarding the Salah is him being what? An Imam. So, it could be something that was for him and for them, or it could be something that was specifically for them, or specifically for him. Then we have the Messenger of Allah ﷺ offering Salah by himself. 99.9% of the times, he was making the Salah, which was nafil. It was not fard. Nighttime, in the morning, etc. And we know there are certain exceptions and certain rulings that are specific to the extra prayers, specific to the night prayers, that do not apply to the day prayers, let alone the mandatory prayers. Everybody understand this or not? And the asl, the original legislation, the taraweeh, meaning breaks, taking a break, sitting down and drinking water, and some of the pious predecessors drinking water in the salah, that does not apply to the fard salah, period. So we have two issues. Taraweeh is at night, and it's also supererogatory. So it's a double exception. Everybody understand this or not? The long discussion among the people of knowledge with regards to giving one salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Just once on the right. Is that permissible in the salah? Or does one have to make two, taslim and tain? Everybody sure this? What did the Prophet ﷺ do in the fard prayer, and what did he do in the night prayer? This is a very important piece of ligament or cartilage that would join two bones together. Everybody understand this? And we have the structure, as we said, al-haykalatul amma, the general structure, the general skeleton of the Prophet's prayer. And obviously the bones are no good unless there is what? There has to be things that come between those what? Those bones. And that is the fiqh, the fahm, the qawaid, this principle to link this salat with what? This hadith with what? That hadith. Aisha narrated, Abu Hurairah narrated, Ibn Mas'ud narrated. Everybody understand this? This was specific to the night prayer. This is when the Prophet was the Imam. This is pertaining to when you pray by yourself, and there's no contradiction. So it's very important as some of the pious predecessors would say, such as Umar ibn Abdul Aziz and others, they would say, خُذْ مِنَ الرَّأِي مَا تَفْقَهُ بِهِ حَدِيثَكَ. They say, learn opinion, learn fiqh, that which will allow you to understand and properly implement your hadiths. And not allowing your views and opinions and fiqh taking control and domination over the hadiths. But there is a necessary what? Amount. There is a necessary what? Amount. No matter how strong the bone is, if there's no cartilage, no ligaments, nothing, it's going to be what? It's going to hurt. Arthritis. It's going to be pain. It's not going to move smoothly. It's not going to be fluid. The bone, no matter how strong and formidable it is, it needs what? Some type of bone glue. Everybody understand? I'm speaking metaphorically. It needs some type of what? The brick is solid. The brick is useless without what? Mortar. It's not correct. Brick is formidable. It can protect it from wind, from cold, from rain, from someone intruding upon your property, but without the mortar, it's of what? It's of no use. Everybody understand? It's not saying that the hadith of the Prophet is of no use. We're not saying that. We're trying to make a point with regards to studying the dirasa of Sifat Salat al-Nabi. Everybody understand this? The dominant factor of your study should be the hadith. And you're going to need from the Lugha al-Arabiya, from the fiqh, from the ra'i, from the opinions, from the usul al-fiqh, to do what? To take this bone and do what? Connect to the next one. Let alone allow it to move. I'm not clear on this or not. Very important. So therefore, when we talk about the Prophet, say something's prayer described, there are different shades. When he's by himself, it's one shade. When he was the Imam, what? It's another shade. And there are shades within that shade, such as when the Prophet led the Sahaba and Salat al-Khawf, the prayer of fear. It's different. Was the Prophet traveling when he made Salat al-Khawf? Or was he in Medina at home? Everybody understand this? The Prophet he only made 2 rak'ah with the Sahaba. It's only 2 rak'ah. Salat al-Khawf. When you're at home, or you have to be on a journey. So the Messenger of Allah, we said in most cases he was the what?
Imam.
The Imam. And when he prayed by himself, in most cases he was what? Making? Nafil salah, not fard. So there are certain things that are generally applied and certain things that are what? Specifically. Such as leaving salah, prolonging it, and the Prophet commanded people to do what? Shorten it. When the Prophet knew the companions didn't mind, and when he feared that it would be a fitna for the companions. This is one hadith, this is one hadith, this is one bone, this is one bone. Between that, there's no contradiction. From time to time, mix up the salah, diversify the salah, Juz Amma, Surah Baqarah, depending on the time and the flow. And allows those two hadiths to join perfectly together and move and operate what? Smoothly, fluidly. Everyone understand this? I cannot explain in words how important this is when it comes to fiqh sunnah. Fiqh sunnah, having a proper understanding of the hadiths of the Prophet. Everyone understand this? And most people who misinterpret hadiths, misuse them, it's because they don't have this concept. Khayr, inshallah. Moving forward. Chapter number 38, it says here, or chapter number 39, excuse me, it says, Babu mutaba'at al-imam wal-amali ba'dahu. It says to follow the imam and to act after him. I.e., what's the ruling on following the imam? Is it obligatory? Recommended? Is it optional? Is it disliked? Is it haram? And what are the stages and levels of praying behind the imam? And what are the things that you have to do behind the imam? And what are the things that you're not necessarily required to do behind the imam? Many differences. And one of the reasons why we have so many fiqh differences, and why we have such a confusing field of fatwa, is because of globalization and because of mass immigration to different countries and lands that did not exist in the past. Everybody understand this? It did not exist in the past. 2017, in one masjid, is Hanafi, Hanbali, Maliki, Shafi'i. In one masjid. The man's from Azhar, the person behind him's from Turkey, this one's from West Africa, he's from New York City, he's a revert. Everyone is mixing and melting together. So it's going to be a problem now. He doesn't raise his hands except for the initial takbirah. And I do. He moves his finger like this because I read in Sifat Salat al-Nabi of Shaykh Albani to move it. And I read that the hadith was da'if, so I keep it still. Do I have to move it and wiggle it, or do I keep it still? Is it permissible to raise my hand coming out of ruku even on the Imam's Hanafi? Everybody clear on this? Back then, 100 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, it was very what? Seldom. You go on Hajj, you go on Umrah, one thing. You go to travel to meet Muslims, to trade with the Muslims, one thing. But in most cases, I'm from Indonesia, I live in Indonesia, the people in Indonesia generally follow what? One mode of fiqh. The people in Turkey generally follow what? One mode of fiqh. The Muslims in Mali, they generally follow what? One mode of fiqh. Everybody understand this? Now, in the modern age, things are what? Totally different. Things are what? Totally different. Everybody clear on this or not? And this also goes to show us how some of the people, when they become stuck in the past when it comes to fiqh concepts. You should study this madhab and teach it. Learn this madhab and teach it. That's good if you're living in a place in which that madhab is predominant. But that's not good if you're living in a mixing pot, a melting pot. It's not going to what? It's not going to work. Everybody clear this or not? So therefore, do you have to follow each and every single movement of the Imam? The Imam, he doesn't say Ameen out loud. He says, غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. And that's it. And then you say Ameen. Do you say Ameen or do you keep silent? Do you raise your hands or not? Everybody clear on this or not? Do you go down on your knees first or your hands first? Everybody clear on this? What's meant by following the Imam and what constitutes following the Imam? And there are many misconceptions regarding this, just like there are many misconceptions regarding to other issues of Islam, such as unity. Unity does not necessitate that everyone is exactly the same in each and every aspect. It doesn't mean that. Unity does not necessitate that everyone is a clone. It doesn't mean that. Not linguistically, nor Islamically. We can be unique and diverse and at the same time be what?
United.
No question about that. With conditions that our core principles are what? One. Everybody understand this? Our core principles are one. Everybody understand this? And other aspects as well. We'll be explained in the different points with regards to unity, but it's a major misconception. That it does not mean that you follow the Imam, that you do every single thing the Imam does. And that you have to say everything that the Imam what? Says. Moving forward. The author, he says, Bismillah, Father Khalid. Next chapter. Drink some tea. Fadl. اشرب يا أخي. Oh, tea. The author, he says, حديث البراء بن عازب رضي الله عنه قال كنا نصلي خلف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فإذا قال سمع الله لمن حمده لم يحن أحد منا ظهره حتى يضع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم جبهته على الأرض. It says here, Hadith 274 is narrated by Al-Bara bin Azib رضي الله عنه, and it says here in English رضي الله عنهما. We used to offer Salah prayer behind the Prophet ﷺ, and when he said Sami Allahu liman hamidah, none of us would bend his back. It says go to prostration till the Prophet ﷺ had placed his forehead on the ground in prostration. Bara says that we prayed behind the Prophet ﷺ, i.e. in Jama'ah, congregation. When the Messenger of Allah said, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, obviously meaning that when he came out of ruku', and then we afterwards what? Came out of ruku'. The next position is what? For him to go to sujood. We wouldn't bend our backs back down after they came straight until his head was what? On the ground. I.e. we didn't precede the Prophet ﷺ, we followed him. And the stages of praying with the Imam are as follows. Number one, there is al-mutaba'ah. We've explained this before. Al-mutaba'ah, to follow the Imam. And then we have musabaqa. Al-musabaqa is to come before the Imam. And then we have al-muwafaqa, is to coincide with the action of the Imam. And then we have at-takhalluf, at-ta'akhur, is to stay away from and refrain from the movement of the Imam with a very long period of time. So the first level, al-mutaba'ah, is to follow the Imam. Imam Ahmed is to what? Follow the Imam. Not before him, not simultaneously with him, not too long afterwards, but do what? follow. And then after that we mentioned what? Musabaqa. To do what? Jump ahead of the Imam. And then after that we said what? Al-Muwafaqa. To do it with the Imam simultaneously. And then after that we said At-Takhalluf. And so a person to fail to make the necessary compliance with the Imam's action. Too long of a time. He's in sujood, you wait a whole minute, then you go into sujood. Everybody understand this? The Imam says, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allahumma rabbana lakal hamd. You're in sujood before him. Your head is on the ground before the Imam. That's musabaqa. Or muwafaqa, doing it right with him. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ آمِينَ. Everybody understand this? Khairan inshallah. So this hadith teaches us is that the companions made mutaba'ah. They followed the Imam. They did not refrain. They did not stay back. Nor did they go before him. And that the Prophet ﷺ, he made congregation with the Sahaba. And this hadith also affirms the good. It affirms that the Imam should say, Sami Allahu liman hamida, Tahmeed. It affirms sujood, and that sujood should be upon the head. And what's meant by that? A jabha. That your skin has to touch the ground. Or the azam, the place. I have on a turban, or a beanie, or a skull cap. I have on a hood. Do I have to lift it up and raise it and allow my skin to touch the carpet or the ground? Or is it sufficient for me to make sujood like this, clearly covering my jabha, my forelock? Everybody understand this? The Messenger of Allah says, "Umirtu an asjud ala sab'ati a'zam." I've been commanded to pray upon 7 a'zam, plural of idam, a bone. So when I make sujood, and is this my bone? It's my skin. Beneath my skin is what? Salah. What level of skin is this? How many levels of skin do I have? If you were to cut me with a knife.
A lot.
Huh? Before I get to the what? Actual
Bone.
skull. Also, when you make sujood, you make sujood on your knees. Do your knees touch the ground? Does your bone, does your skin even touch the ground? No, it doesn't. You have to cover your aura. Your knee is covered by what? Cloth. It's covered by what? Cloth, clearly. Or if you're praying on your feet, your feet are on the ground. You're wearing khuffayn that the Prophet warned all the companions to wear. So to say that this has to touch the ground, but nothing else has to touch the ground, and using one general proof, the proof of hadith for Abdullah ibn Abbas, it now becomes what? Problematic. You understand this? The dalil that you have to do is the jabha. Is the jabha. The hadith says the other parts of the body as well, in which my knee is clearly not what?
Uncovered.
Touching the musalla. Everybody understand this?
No.
Khairan inshallah. Let's play. Khairan inshallah. Moving forward. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here, وفي هذا الحديث هذا الأدب من آداب الصلاة وهو أن السنة أن لا ينحني المأموم للسجود حتى يضع الإمام جبهته على الأرض إلا أن يعلم من حاله أنه لو أخر إلى هذا الحد لرفع الإمام من السجود قبل سجوده. قال أصحابنا رحمهم الله تعالى في هذا الحديث وغيره ما يقتضي مجموعه أن السنة للمأموم التأخر عن الإمام قليلا بحيث يشرع في الركن بعد شروعه وقبل فراغه منه والله أعلم. No, he says this hadith teaches us the following. Number one is that this is one of the etiquettes of the prayer, the congregation. It's from the manners, the adab. And that is the sunnah is he who's behind the imam should not bend his back until the imam's head is on the ground. The imam should not move towards sujood until the imam's head is what? On the ground. Do most people pray like this? At all. No way. The imam is on the ground in sujood. And the people are still what? Standing. They're erect. Then they bend their backs and go to descend to sujood. Average masses you go to, you will not what? No. The imam says, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allah. The moment he says Allahu Akbar, what? They're racing with him. And oftentimes you'll see many people what? Making sujood before the imam. And their heads touch the ground what? Before the imam. So we're making this up? Most masjids you go to, you'll see this. So no, listen carefully. He says that this is the sunnah. Unless, there's an exception, he says, unless that you know that the imam will come out of sujood before you get into sujood. If you know that the imam only stays in sujood for a short period of time, the imam rushes, it's really quick, I'm not going to catch the sujood, then that's not the sunnah anymore. Everybody understand this? That's not the what? It's not the sunnah anymore, because it's not necessarily obligatory. Because listen carefully. The imam, he says, Sami Allahu liman hamid. He comes out of ruku', right? Okay? Allahumma rabbana lakal hamd. Pauses briefly or for a long period of time, as we explained. Hadith of Anas last week, that's the sunnah as well. Then he says Allahu Akbar. So the one behind the imam, he shouldn't do what immediately? Don't move yet. The imam, he makes the takbir, and as the imam's in the middle of the movement to sujood, then the one behind him does what? Begins to move. So no doubt the imam will land before he does. Actually, everyone clear on this? That's not haram. But the best thing to do is to allow his what? Then you move. Unless you know that the imam will come out of the position before you even get there. Like most people today. If you pray behind this imam, you know he doesn't stay in sujood for a very long period of what? Time. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this? Another scenario is, Khalid, for the imam not to make the takbir when he moves. The imam, he said, Allahumma rabbana wa lakal hamd. He makes the dua after that. Then he moves and he makes the takbir while he's in the middle of standing and bowing or prostrating or even when in sujood. Permissible to make the takbir after the movement. Permissible to make the takbir when? After the movement, as we explained. Permissible to make the takbir when? After the movement. Allahu Akbar, simultaneous, before and after we explained that. We what? We explained that. Everybody understand this or not? So he says it's no longer the sunnah to do that if a person feels that he'll miss the position of the prayer. Khayran inshaAllah. He then says, Qala ashabuna, he says, our comrades, meaning the Shafi'i jurists, the fuqaha of the Shafi'i madhab, they say, this hadith and others prove the following point. This hadith and others make one point, and that is, it is the sunnah is recommended for the one behind the imam to just be a little bit behind the imam. And don't move exactly when he moves. And don't move and follow him exactly, but just a little bit, wait a little bit, then you move and you follow him. Following could be done in a quick manner. You can follow somebody quickly. He says, let them go, and then what? Then you move a little bit. At-ta'akhur, qalilan. He says what? Just a little bit. Staying back from the imam, what? Just a little bit. That is not a ta'akhur in which a person is totally behind and the imam is way ahead. That's a problem. The imam is in sujood, 30 seconds go by and you don't even move. That's wrong. That's incorrect. But a couple of seconds, then you do what? Then you proceed to follow it, making mutaba'a. We clear this or not? Khayran inshaAllah ta'ala. Okay, so that's the fiqh of that hadith. Hadith of Bukhari radiallahu anhu. And many other fawaid, as you said, prayer and congregation. And this also shows what? The obligation of conveying beneficial knowledge, even if it necessitates making tazkiyah of yourself. The obligation of conveying beneficial knowledge, even if it entails what? Tazkiyah of yourself. He says, we used to pray behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's telling about a virtuous deed. We were there, we were Sahaba. But he has to do what? A job to pass it on to the Tabi'een. Everybody understand this? He didn't say he prayed, they prayed. He says, kunna. We used to. I was there. Everybody understand this? Khayran inshallah. Let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter number 42. It says, and it jumps once more from 39 to what? 42. We've explained that in the past, why the book is like that. The chapter headings are based off of Sahih Muslim. And every single chapter in Sahih Muslim is not something that is agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. We've explained that. The footnotes, there are no footnotes. The translator, he doesn't give any note, anything to clarify to the reader. Everybody understand this? Moving forward. It says, Babu ma yuqalu fi ruku'i wa sujood. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يكثر أن يقول في ركوعه وسجوده سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك اللهم اغفر لي يتأول القرآن. Chapter 42 says what to say during bowing and prostration. What to say when you make sujood and when you make ruku or ruku and sujood. Is it obligatory to say something in ruku and sujood, Khalid? It's obligatory. Salih.
Allah.
Allahu A'lam. What did we study? We went over this in detail. Brother Khan, we went over this.
If it wasn't mentioned in the Hadith.
We went over this, that most of the ulama hold the view that it's not what?
Obligatory.
It isn't mandatory to make any supplication in these positions. And Imam Ahmad, rahimahullah, and also his companion and friend, Imam Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, or Rahawayh, as some say, and others, but those are the main two proponents of their view. They said that you must make these supplications in these movements. And we explained why the scholars of Islam differ on this issue based off of the hadith of the one who prayed badly. What the Prophet told him to do and what he didn't tell him what to do. So here, this chapter heading, according to the majority of the ulama, what to say in ruku and sujood, meaning, which is
Obligatory.
mandatory. No, you got me saying the wrong thing now. Which is what? Preferable. Recommended to say. What is what? Recommended to say in sujood and recommended to say in where? Ruku. And according to Imam Ahmad and others, what is mandatory to say in what? Ruku and sujood. You understand this?
No.
One class leads to another, as we've said. Everyone understands this or not? We've explained this in detail, we're not going to explain it again. Moving forward. Aisha radiallahu anha, she narrated, the Prophet ﷺ used to say frequently in his bowings and prostrations, Subhanaka, Allahumma, Rabbana, wa bihamdika, Allahumma, ighfirli. I honor Allah from all that unsuitable things are ascribed to Him. O Allah, our Lord, all praises and thanks are for you. O Allah, forgive me. In this way, he was acting according to the Holy Quran. In this way, he was acting according to the Holy Quran. Aisha tells us that the Prophet ﷺ kana yukthir. He used to make it abundantly. Say this abundantly when he made ruku' and when he made sujood. And this goes to show that this supplication was what? Interchangeable for both positions. For both what? Both positions. Now, when did the Prophet ﷺ make this supplication? In the congregational Salah with the Sahaba? Or when he prayed? At night. Aisha's home, as we just explained. You understand how the base allows you to stand upon principles? And you have 10 hadith and take it back to one asl. Everybody understand this? And connect 3 or 4 different hadiths with one what? One asl. Everybody understand this? You said, what would you take if you had 10 things to go Mufti on a survival trip? 10 things, only 10 items. One of the most important items if you're in the wilderness is what? Rope. Rope. You can tie things, you can fasten things, you can drag, you can pull, you can climb with what? Rope is a staple part of survival. Everybody understand this? You can have 4 or 5 things tied together with what? With rope. Everybody understand this? The asal is the what? It's the sturdy what? Rope. And you take 3 or 4 hadiths and do what? Fasten them together and you got them all locked down. Take them wherever you want to go. Everybody understand this or not? Clear this or not? Right. So therefore, this shows that this supplication was made in both positions, but the question is, was it in the mandatory prayer or what? The night prayer. Because the supplications of the mandatory prayer, we previously what? Explained. Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil A'la. Moving forward. She says that the Messenger of Allah says Subhanaka. And we know that the word Subhana is what we call a tasbih, a tanzih. It means to declare Allah free. To declare Allah free from anything which is unsuitable. Allah has a son. Allah has a partner, a second or third. Muhammad knows the unseen. Allah took a rest after He created the heavens and the earth. Allah is in every place. Allah is not above all of His creation. Allah doesn't speak. Anything is unsuitable, whether it's a statement made by the Jews, His hand, Yadullahi maghlula. Allah's hand is tied up. Everybody understand this? The Jews, the Christians said as a son, he took a rest, a break. His only begotten son. Or whether it's from the apostates from this ummah, or Ahlul Bid'ah from this ummah. Those who talk about Allah's names, His attributes, the Qadr, the Quran. Everybody know this or not? Allah didn't know that the companions would apostate after Muhammad's death. They said, Rafi, the Shia say. Allah praised them radiallahu anhum wa radwan before the Prophet Muhammad passed away. And Allah knew, He knew that they were good then. He didn't know later on they would become apostates and fight Ali and cheat him out of the Khilafah. Anything which is unsuitable, لا يليق بعظمته وجلاله عز وجل, the greatness and the sublimity of Allah, the word subhana does what? Removes Allah from that. Alright, on this, it is not specific to the Jews, to the Christians, or to the Muslims who have clearly strayed from the correct path. Anything which is unbefitting of Allah's what? Greatness. You understand this? Anyone who makes a statement which is unbefitting of Allah's what? Greatness. When you say subhanaka, it is tanzih. It is you declare Allah free from it. Everybody understand this? So that's not the same as alhamdulillah. Wa bihamdika. Alhamd is thana, lauding Allah, praising Allah. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this or not? Khairan inshallah? So what does the word subhana mean? One will say it means to praise Allah. That is not what? Correct. It doesn't mean to praise Allah. Praising Allah is declaring His greatness. Praising Allah is lauding Him by His splendid names and attributes. It's praising Allah. When we say subhanallah, it means what? To declare Allah what? Free from that which doesn't suit His majesty. Am I clear on this or not? When we talk about al-asma wa sifat. Al-asma wa sifat. And what you believe about Allah Azza wa Jal is going to orbit around these two principles. At-tanzih wa thana. Declaring Allah free from this imperfection and declaring imperfection for Him. Laysa kamithlihi shay wa huwa as-sami'ul basir. Nothing is like Allah. Nothing is similar to Allah. That's what? That's tanzih. Allah is removed from any resemblance between Him and His created beings. Wa huwa as-sami'ul basir. He's the all-hearing, the all-knowing. That is what? All-hearing, He's all-seeing. That is the what? That's the nas, praising Him, and that's affirming Him. An-nafi wal-ithbat, negation and affirmation. Khairan inshallah. So that's what the word subhanaka means. Allahumma. What does that mean? It means Ya Allah. That's the asl. The word Allahumma is derived from the word Ya Allah. But it's the reason why the Ya has been removed, and it's the reason why there's a meme there. It says, Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana wa bihamdika Allahumma ghfirli. Praising Allah, declaring Allah free from imperfection, and asking Allah to forgive him. For what sin did he make? What mistake did he make? And when was the historical context of this supplication? When did the Prophet say these words? Aisha, she says, he says, Yata'awwal al-Quran. He was doing what? Making ta'weel of the Quran. Making ta'weel of the Quran. Literal translation, to interpret the Quran. He was interpreting the what? The Quran. The word interpretation has several meanings. At the end of the day, the word interpretation, ta'weel, pertains to what? The end and the outcome. The end and the outcome of a thing. The word ta'weel means ma ya'ulu bihi ash-shay. The ending point of a thing. So when you interpret something, you give it tafsir, you explain it, you take it from its original organic state, and then what do you do with it, Abdul Qawi? You take it to its what? Its final place. This is what is what? Meant by this verse. It's the interpretation of the verse. Interpretation of the hadith. The Prophet says, La taghdab, don't become angry. The interpretation of the hadith is control your anger. When you get angry, don't curse, don't punch, don't insult, don't abuse, and try to stifle it. Everyone says, I've interpreted the hadith and I've given you the final what? Meaning of the hadith. The final end point of the words of the what? Prophet. Everybody with me or not? To interpret something. Whether you say it or whether you physically what? Showing what is meant by that ayah. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. Then do what? فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ. The Prophet was interpreting that surah. The Prophet was interpreting what? That surah towards the end of his life. Allah's help has come. The victory of Allah has what? Has come. The people entered into Islam in what? Waves. After it was just Khadija, Abu Bakr, Bilal, Ammar. Few people. Weak. Now there's people entering into Islam in what? Waves. Huh? So do what? فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ. Praise your Lord. Declare him free from imperfections and seek his forgiveness. So the Prophet, he received this surah towards the end of his life. And when he made this supplication, he was doing what? Interpreting the Quran, i.e. showing the final and what was meant by that surah. Everybody put this or not? No. That's what this hadith teaches us. That's what hadith what? Teaches us. I know we don't know all the time. He says regarding this hadith, وفي هذا الحديث فوائد منها استحباب هذا الذكر ومنها وجوب الاعتدال ووجوب الطمأنينة فيه وأنه يستحب لكل مصل إلى أن قال Now when he says many fawaid regarding this hadith, he says from them is the recommendation of what? Making that supplication. We explained with regards to whether it's recommended or whether it's what? Obligatory. And we also explained what's meant by Aisha's statement, yet to over the Quran. Now, the word ta'wil is a very long discussion regarding it. And for one reason or another, the word ta'wil has got a very bad name, a very bad reputation. And many people who read the books of the people of knowledge, the people of the Sunnah and Hadith and Aqidah, they find the word ta'wil. And they hear the word ta'wil, and they automatically think that the word ta'wil is negative, and it's haram, and it's a bid'ah. And that's not true, that's incorrect. The word ta'wil is in the what? Quran al-Kareem. The word ta'wil is mentioned in several places in the Quran. Allah says on the day in which the what? The ta'wil will come to them. None but Allah knows it's what? True what? Except for Him. وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ يَقُولُونَ. And those who have firm knowledge, they say so on and so forth. So the word ta'wil is a Quranic term. So the rule is, if it's mentioned in the Quran, then it is impossible to be what? Absolutely negative. It can't be, because Allah mentioned it. How it's used, how it is depicted is a different what? Story. So you understand this? Am I clear this or not? So moving forward, the word ta'wil, according to many later scholars, if not most of the contemporary Muslims today, means to do something that's bad and negative. And that is to take Allah Azza wa Jalla's speech, what He says about Himself, what the Prophet says about Allah, and to give it a weird meaning. A meaning that is very unknown to the Arabs. Peculiar and strange. A meaning that wasn't mentioned by the Prophet, not mentioned by the Sahaba, with the purpose of running from presupposed anthropomorphism. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, let's pick an attribute of Allah. Think about an attribute of Allah. An attribute of Allah, not a name. Yadahu mabsutatan. Allah says His hands are what? Fully extended. So a scholar, he comes and he says, this verse means Yadahu, His hands rather, are mabsutatan, extended. This means Allah's ni'matan, quwwatan. Allah's power, Allah's generosity is extended. And you can't say, you cannot affirm that Allah actually has what? Two hands. You can't say that. Because if you do, that means that you're making a similarity between Allah and me. I have a hand. Everybody understand this? Allah says His hands are extended. And I say the ta'weed of this is His power is extended. Allah's jude and His karam is extended. So I've taken something out of the context and I've interpreted it to mean something which is unknown to the Arabs. Now the word yad, how many meanings? We don't go deep into asma wa sifat and aqidah. That's a long discussion. It's another class. Just making a point here. The word yad in the Arabic language has several meanings, without a question. And many immature students, they make a mistake and they make an error when they say this, that the word yad in the Arabic language only has one meaning. And it never ever means quwwah, it never ever means ni'mah. هذا خطأ. The word yad in the Arabic language has several what? Meanings. The word yad could mean like a hand, it can mean a claw, it can mean a paw, it can mean a favor, it can mean power. Everybody understand this? It can mean whatever. It has several meanings. However, we said weird and unknown to the Arabs. The Arabs, they never say yadahu, biyadayya, my two hands. Allah Azza wa Jal, He asked Iblis, why didn't you prostrate to what? What I created with my two hands. So Allah created Iblis or not? Iblis says, khalaqtani min nar, you created me from fire. And He also created Adam. So what makes Adam special over Iblis? If the word hands means power, then Allah not created Iblis with His power? And He also created Adam as what? Power. So what makes Adam special over Iblis? And why did Allah bring that up? And why does Allah mention in dual form? Do the Arabs say yadahu, His two powers, His two favors, His two blessings? They don't say that. That's weird and peculiar to the what? To the Arabs. And it's taken out of the context of the Quran. Allah is saying to Iblis, why didn't you prostrate yourself to that which I created with my own two hands? I.e., I gave Adam virtue over you. Everybody understand this or not?
No.
So this means Allah's hands really means His two what? They can't even say two because that's just two. It doesn't even make sense. But His two hands mean His what? Power. And that is ta'weed. That is to figuratively interpret it. It's not literal. It really doesn't mean Allah is above. It really doesn't mean that Allah hates and Allah loves. It really doesn't mean that Allah has a face. It doesn't mean that. It really doesn't mean they'll look towards Allah. It doesn't mean that literally, but it's only what? Figuratively. Why? Why can't it mean that? Why doesn't it mean that? Isn't the Arabic language supposed to be default, clear? They say because if you say Allah has a hand, if you say Allah will be seen in paradise, it gives a resemblance between Allah and His creation. Because I can look at you. And when I look at you, it puts you in a what? A dimension. And Allah, ليس كمثله شيء. لا تدركه الأبصار. ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. ولا يحيطون به علما. No one can encompass Allah Azza wa Jal. Everybody understand this? So this is what's meant by the later scholars and those who follow those different groups of Maturidi and Ash'ari Aqidah of the word ta'weed. To the early ulama, Aisha, radiallahu anha, At-Tabari, when they say Bab, ta'weed qawlihi ta'ala. ذكر من قال ذلك من أهل التأويل. They mean something what? Completely different. And they mean nothing more than the tafsir. The proper understanding of it in Arabic language. What Zayd ibn Thabit said, what Ibn Mas'ud said, the hadith that explains it. And they don't mean using philosophical principles that are far and strange from the companions, from the Prophet Muhammad himself, from the original pure Arabic language to interpret the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Because they necessitate tajsim. You give Allah a body if you say that. Everyone understand this? Antum a'lam amillah. Allah said in the Quran, He said to the Jews, and He also distorted Allah's attributes. They talked about His hands. They said Allah was stingy. Waliyadu billah. Allah said, are you not more knowledgeable or Allah? You know better or Allah Azza wa Jalla? The Prophet Salman said that the Jewish man said to us, لَقَدْ عَلَمَكُمْ نَبِيُّكُمْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَتَّى الْخِرَاءَ. He says, your prophet, this man Muhammad Abu Qasim, he has taught you everything, even the manner of using the bathroom. Muhammad taught you what? Everything. And then Salman says, Ajal. He says, yes, O Jewish man. He taught us not to do this, how many times, what direction, and the list goes forward. So the Prophet explained everything from the deen, and not once did he ever say this is what it really means about Allah's attributes. The Quran is really not Allah's speech, it's just something else. That's extremely disrespectful to the Prophet ﷺ. His companions how to use the restroom, but not how to believe about what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everybody understand this? So a person he runs from one thing and he falls into what? 50 other things which are 10 times more disrespectful and terrible. Even though to say that the hand of Allah does not necessitate any tajseem. It does not mean that Allah has any resemblance between Allah and His creation, subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet, he tells us that on the day of judgment, what will Allah do? He would take all of these things and place it where? He would place this on the finger, that on the finger, and a third on the finger. And it says, Ana al-Malik, Ana al-Malik. I'm the king, I'm the king. We're the worldly kings. Is there any comparisons you can think about for Allah to place all of the trees, to place the earth, this and that on a finger? Are you comparing to a human hand? That obviously doesn't make what? Any sense, logically. Let alone the fact that the Arabs themselves, they don't use the word yad to mean ni'mah with what? In due form. Nor do the fact that Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions things about His yad. Mabsuta. It's extended. Yaqbid. Yabsut. Allah mentions, the Prophet mentions isbi'. Clearly negating all of these different things. So it's a long discussion with regards to ta'wil, with regards what it means. What's important is the word ta'wil is not absolutely what? Incorrect. Depending on what's meant and who uses it. Someone who follows the Ash'ari madhab, when he says ta'wil, there lies no doubt. This is butlan, falsehood. At-Tabari mentioning it is what? Totally different. Everybody understand this or not? So therefore, the Muslim believes in brief that what Allah has mentioned about Himself and what the Prophet has mentioned about Allah in the authentic hadiths is real, it is true, and it is as Allah and His Messenger intended. It is as Allah and His Messenger has intended. And the golden rule of every issue of Allah's names and attributes, the golden rule is the athar of Imam Malik, rahimahullah. Al-istiwa'u ma'lum, wal-kayfu majhul, wal-imanu bihi wajib, was-su'alu anhu bid'ah. He says istiwa is well known, i.e. in the Arabic tongue. It's well known what it means. Wal-kayfu majhul. How is Allah above the throne? Was the throne above Allah before He rose over it? How can Allah be the most high and the throne was above Him? Kayf majhul. How the modality of it is what? Unknown. Wal-imanu bihi wajib. Believing in it is what? Mandatory, because it's in the Quran and Sunnah, and asking about how it is and it's not is a bid'ah. That's the qaida of Allah's hand, Allah's face, Allah's speech, Allah's anger, Allah's wrath, Allah's mercy. Every attribute of Allah goes back to that principle. In the language is well known that Allah loves a people. Allah hates these people. How can Allah love someone? When you love someone, it means your blood pressure rises. This is what they say. Mayalan al-qalb. It says the heart is inclined towards someone, and this and that, and so on and so forth. Allah can't have that attribute. You comparing Allah to the created beings before the person of the Sunnah does. You're guilty of it before him. And the only reason why you said it is figurative is because you did what in your head? You made a what?
Comparison.
In your head. Then you made ta'weed of what was in your head. Allah's hand, my hand, only thing that pops up in my head. So therefore it can't be literal. It now has to be what? Figurative. Because Allah says, Laysa kamithlihi shay. Nothing like Allah. So you're guilty of how many crimes now? 2. Everybody understand this? Worse come to worse. Worse come to worse. The Mujassim, Hashwi, Wahhabi, whatever you want to call him, he only made one crime. He made a similarity between Allah Azza wa Jalla. You made a similarity between Allah and His creation, then you made ta'til. Totally made it void of meaning. Everybody understand this if you want to get technical? Everybody on this? So that's the aqidah of every Muslim. How it should be. The aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And anything other than that is not the aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It's figurative. It really doesn't mean that. Well, no, you can't say that. You can't say Allah has physical characteristics. He only has metaphysical attributes. Everybody understand this? Whatever name or title is given. Maturidi, Ash'ari, this, that, whatever name is given. Everybody understand this or not? Regardless of what Imam had this aqidah. Nawawi, Ibn Hajar, Bayhaqi, this one and that one. Everybody understand this or not? Khayr, that's in brief. Moving forward, the next chapter, chapter 44, he says, باب أعضاء السجود والنهي عن كف الشعر والثوب وعقص الرأس في الصلاة. حديث ابن عباس رضي الله عنه قال أمر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يسجد على 7 أعضاء ولا يكف شعرا ولا ثوبا الجبهة واليدين بالركبتين والرجلين. Chapter 44 says body parts on which one has to prostrate, and the prohibition of tucking up hair or clothes or braiding head hair while offering salah prayer. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet ﷺ was ordered by Allah to prostrate on 7 body parts and not to tuck up the clothes or hair while praying. Those parts are the forehead along with the tip of the nose, both hands, both knees, and toes of both feet. Says, Babu A'da Sujud, the places in which a person should make the sujood. Meaning, that which is obligatory. The obligatory parts that must touch the ground when you offer what? Sujood. The parts in which must touch the ground when you're making what? Sujood. And the prohibition of tucking, tying, fastening, wrapping, curling, weaving up hair and one's clothes, وَالثَّوْبِ وَأَقْصَ الرَّأْسِ, and putting one's hair into a ponytail or pig plait or a braid, a dread, fi salah, while one is offering the prayer. Before we move forward, brothers and sisters, we explained this issue in some detail on Mufti Q&A with regards to the widespread misconception of making salah and a person has on certain clothes. The clothes are hemmed. You can't make it what? You can't do what? You can't pray with your pants rolled up like that. You can't pray with braids in your hair. It's haram to have braids. It's haram to wear dreads, to wear corn dreads or dreadlocks. Not because of the mushrikeen, but because of salah. A woman can't pray with cornrows, with braids and plaits in her hair, because the hadith says not to do what? Tuck things up. We've explained that, so please go back to Mufti Q&A for those details. With regards to what's the proper understanding of this hadith, and what is the totally improper understanding of this hadith. And the many hardships and contradictions that a person is going to fall into by misunderstanding this hadith. With regards to isbal, with regards to fashion, how a person chooses to wear his or her hair, that's first and foremost. Khayr, inshallah. Before we get into this issue, let's go back perhaps and mention some other fawaid with regards to the previous chapter. And that's the issue that we discussed before. What is the best place in the salah? The best place in the salah is what, Ahmed?
Best place.
Sujood or qiyam? Sujood. What did you say, Khalid?
Allahu A'lam.
Allah knows best. What did you say, Khalid? Nawawi, he says here, وفيه الحث على الدعاء في السجود وفي دليل لمن يقول إن السجود أفضل من القيام وسائر أركان الصلاة. Speaking on the issue of what is the best place in a prayer. And obviously after the best place, what is the best place in which a person should do what? Prolong in a salah. You're praying voluntary prayer at night. Is it better to stand long when you're standing or to prostrate for a long time? What's more virtuous? Everybody saying this? The hadith of Ibn Abbas, the previous hadith, or the hadith, we'll get into that in the next class, inshallah ta'ala. Right. What's the best part? He says here, في هذه المسألة ثلاثة مذاهب. There are 3 views. أحدها أن تطويل السجود وتكثير الركوع والسجود أفضل. حكى عن الترمذي والبغوي عن جماعة وممن قال بتفضيل تطويل السجود ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما. والمذهب الثاني مذهب الشافعي رضي الله عنه وجماعة أن تطويل القيام أفضل بحديث جابر في صحيح مسلم أن النبي قال أفضل الصلاة طول القنوت والمراد من القنوت القيام ولهذا ذكر القيام قراءة وذكر السجود تسبيح والقراءة أفضل لأن من قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن كان يطول القيام أكثر من تطويل السجود. والمذهب الثاني أنهما سواء كذا. وتوقف أحمد بن حنبل وعلى الصواب والمذهب الثالث. غلط، خطأ مطبعي. وتوقف أحمد بن حنبل رضي الله عنه في المسألة ولم يقضي فيها بشيء. وقال إسحاق بن راهويه أما في النهار فتكثير الركوع والسجود أفضل، وأما في الليل فتطويل القيام، إلا أن يكون للرجل جزء من الليل يأتي عليه، فتكثير الركوع والسجود أفضل لأنه يقرأ جزءه ويربح كثرة الركوع والسجود. قال الترمذي إنما قال إسحاق هذا لأنهم وصفوا صلاة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بالليل بطول القيام، ولم يوصف من تطويله بالنهار ما وصف بالليل، والله أعلم. He says there are three main views with regards to the best place in the prayer, the best position in the prayer, and which one should be made the longest. First and foremost is, what's the best position in the prayer? Some ulama say that the sujood is the most virtuous place in the salah. And then they say the sujood is totally superior above all other positions in the salah. And that's why they call a place of worship a what? Masjid. Even though you do what in the masjid? You do what? You stand, you sit, you bow, you pray, you make itikaf. But the building was given the name of what? A what? Masjid, a place of sujood. Showing that the sujood is totally what? According to some of the ulama. Then we have the issue of, with regards to tatweed. When you're praying, when should the prayer be prolonged the most? In ruku', in sujood, excuse me, or while one is what? Standing. Three views of the ulama. Perhaps we'll mention them tomorrow, perhaps we won't. Inshallah ta'ala, you read about them, do some research, see what you come up with. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, Allah surely knows best.
جزاكم الله خير.